Right, what is going on, team? Now, welcome to today's YouTube video. Now, today's YouTube video is a little bit different, and I kind of came up with the idea myself, just inspired by a few different comments that I've seen and a few DMs and messages I've got. So obviously on the Sculpt Academy, on my online program, there's been quite a lot of PTs that have joined up, and on Instagram, obviously now I understand that there's quite a lot of PTs that are following me because of the journey that I've done with Sculpt and setting up my own sort of business, and then being able to move in a facility, and then eventually building a gym, and so on and so on. Now, one of the questions and a couple of the questions have basically been stuff like, what equipment did you start off with, like when you opened on day one, in comparison to now when I've gradually added more things, and yeah, the video is essentially going to be how expensive is the gym, what equipment is the most expensive in the gym. Okay, so I thought it would be a little bit interesting for you to see what equipment is expensive, what isn't as expensive, and if I was someone like perhaps you watching this video, if there is someone out there that is potentially looking to start their own thing, because I mean, I saw loads of people in lockdown starting their own studios in garages and being a bit of a business entrepreneur. I absolutely love that idea, because when I first started, I pretty much tried to minimize rent as much as I could, in the sense of I just used to work for free. But I suppose another idea, especially because of the current circumstances with COVID, another great idea is trying to set up a garage setup. So what would I have? And maybe like my top 5 essential things. So I'm gonna take you on a little bit of a journey, give you a little bit of a gym tour today, and tell you what ballpark everything was for me, what was the hardest things to afford, come by when I was first starting, and yeah, pretty much give you a bit of an insight into my journey as a PT, gym owner, and all of that. So yeah, let's get started with the video. Right, so we're going to start. I'm going to start with a little bit of a gym tour, and I'm going to try and work my way around chronological order in terms of what I think is the most expensive and what I think is the least expensive. And then right at the end, we're going to go through what I think would be the most essential things for starting your own place, right? So we're going to turn around first. This is the gym. And right now we've got a little bit of a situation with this new turf and with all of this setup right here. But I think first thing, obviously, right when I was starting the gym, I was by myself. I was just had like semi-private groups, personal training. So essentially it was a studio at first, but I knew that at some point there would be other trainers here, other people, and I wanted to maximize the space. So I'm going to try and put a photo somewhere here of what the unit was like before. Now the unit before like sort of stayed stagnant for a few months, but before that there was actually a gym facility here that was trying, but it was by no means on this level. I'm just going to say that straight up. But the first thing to try and maximize the space was, I don't know what the exact square footage is right now, but we added the second floor, which we're going to take you upstairs a little bit later. So straight away we put a mezzanine floor down, put pillars up here, and basically these beams that you can see covered in grey here go from there down and through the floor. So the most expensive thing straight away was changing the structure. Now I'm not sure on the exact price by the end or something like that, but I'm pretty sure it was like 20 to 25 grand straight away just to adjust the unit of like adding in that floor, if not a little bit more. That's probably one of the main things that I'm unsure on. So most expensive thing, trying to double the space, because obviously now every single hour, 5, 6 and 7 on a night, we have 3 classes running at once, and one is lift dominant at the back of the room where I am now, one is dumbbell orientated, which is a little bit of functional bodybuilding at the front, and we have a conditioning class. And every hour we've got 3 classes at once, whereas at the start I'd maybe get 1 or 2 in. So we're maximizing the space straight away from day one of opening the gym. Now, second thing, and this was the one that, to be honest, when I was going through, and I had a little bit of support because my family, like my dad, has been absolutely amazing with all of this process, and Shez, if she's watching this video, she hates watching my YouTube channel, but she's been absolutely amazing. The one that nearly caught me off guard was the flooring. Right, this stuff, it is absolutely mind-blowing how expensive it is, but hands down, besides that of like completely, that's basically like doing the internals of building a house. The most expensive thing in the gym, which people never realize, is the flooring. Now, I can't remember what obscene price it was, and if you think about it, it's scattered all over, but yeah, the flooring was an absolute ridiculous amount that I can't actually remember what the number was, but it wasn't really far behind that as well. So straight off the belt, the main thing's the structure, the flooring, the second floor. Now the other things that are coming in at a bit of a close third, which again we'll talk about, but again it was really, really important in my eyes, because when I was starting off the gym, I'm from Newcastle, and we always seem to be a bit like 5 years behind London, but I'd been into London gyms. Now what do London gyms do, which is super cool, that makes everyone want to take photos with them? Branding and lighting, okay? The reason I made the gym Battleship Grey and wanted to do all of these lighting and these cool lights that you see and all of the branding along here, this is kind of like probably where most of our money got spent on. So we're not even on the equipment yet. Like the whole process, and one of the things that I cottoned onto from a young age was, if someone wants to take a photo in your gym, you are going to get free marketing for life, okay? For the past 4 years in April, for the past 4 years, every single person that comes in here the first time, I guarantee has took a photo of something, whether it be send a friend, whether it be send to Instagram and post on a story, but that is free marketing. And that's not me having to pay money and money and money for sponsored ads for the rest of the time. So that is that. Now, Joe can keep us right behind the camera if I miss anything, because he knows, because we've had this conversation when I'm not under pressure with the camera. But I think the next thing would probably be the turf. Now, we have only, the reason these are all here is because the turf is currently getting glued down right now. But this price yesterday, as of yesterday, 2022, is this was £3,850, okay? Now that is primal strength. Now that is what the price is for if I wasn't doing a little bit of work for them. But that is how much it would cost the average Joe, probably you starting off. The turf is, I think, 12 meters down and 2.5 meters wide, something like that, just for a little bit of sort of knowledge on that. So yeah, that is pretty much the big basis of what we're talking about in terms of what costs probably the most amount of money. Now, actual equipment, okay? Things going after that, the rig. Now this rig and that rig are actually slightly separate. So if you look to about here, this is actually all from Black Box. Now, the gym that I worked at when I was 17 actually left this rig. I mean, it was included in what I had to pay for, but basically, long story short, they left this rig, and the new rig, the custom rig, which is a little bit nicer and better, is Wolverson, which is first down here, which starts on the pillar, which has my name on, and it goes all the way down to the bottom of the gym. Now, I'm gonna throw a random figure out here because I can't actually remember, but I think it's something anywhere between 8, 9 or 10 grand, somewhere between that ballpark, for just, not this bit, just the bit from there going all the way at the top. So that by 100%, but is absolutely essential in all gyms, because that gives us 6 squat racks, can have 2 people per squat rack, if not 3 if you really want to push people in. So essentially down this lane here, we can have a 12-person class who are lifting, one's resting, one's working. It's really efficient, squatting, deadlifting, benching, whatever it is, and that's really effective, okay? Now, when you're coming around, and we'll walk around the gym, probably the next thing, which I would say price-wise is probably up there, is obviously your weights. Now, the bumper plates probably beat the dumbbells just because of the amount of volume that we have. But depending on what you are perhaps looking at starting or something like that, you can spend pretty much the same on dumbbells or barbells. So we have all the bumper plates along here, and we'll have some old school plates as well. So bumper plates here, old school plates here. But essentially, with that, you are looking at anywhere from like, I think it's about £2.5 per kilo at the minute. But just to give you an example, which is probably easier for you to understand, which absolutely blows most people's minds. Come down here. Those 2.5s that get left on the floor in every gym, everywhere you are, this plate, not a pair, just one, that is about £47 per plate. So just that. So you imagine all of these plates, which are like 10s, 15s, 20s, obviously go up in price. Bumper plates are usually a little bit more expensive than old school plates, but imagine that, and especially since after COVID, these are crazy. So yeah, it is a hell of a lot. Now, the same thing goes for the dumbbells. Now, We have dumbbells that are over here, which are sort of old school sort of dumbbells. And then if you follow me, keep coming along. These are your hex dumbbells, okay? So these ones probably in a functional gym like us are a little bit better, because to be honest, they're way more durable, because we're coming up on year 4 now in April, like I said, and we've got a couple of dumbbells that sadly are almost finishing their life with us. And to be honest, once a few more get to the point where they're really done in, probably be time to get a new rack in terms of them. But to be honest, the way I sort of call it, bodybuilding weights, functional weights, okay? What you are looking for, I think when I was in lockdown, I actually lent all the dumbbells out to all of the customers, all of the clients, and I bought a pair of 22.5 for myself, a pair of 22.5 kilo dumbbells from Wolverton, the best price I found at that time in lockdown was £125. So that's 225s, okay, that's a pair. So £125 for that, so you imagine it north adds up when you've got dumbbells. And that is why I hate when people drop the old school ones, because the old school ones can break. Now, with that being said, the next most expensive thing would probably be the ergs. So I'm going to show you a little bit here, and then we're going to take you upstairs and explain what would be next. All right? So this is obviously the extra space that I was talking about. So you can see now why it was so essential when we're starting this gym off to try and maximize the space, because up here it is absolutely bouncing. This is one of my favorite spaces in the gym, because we have like 15 people that are going at it, that are having a sweaty session, and I absolutely love that. It is the work capacity Wednesday place, okay? Now, probably the next most expensive thing and the easiest way to go through. Skis are probably like £800. Rows are probably £900, and bikes are £1,000. And it's pretty much like, I'm not gonna lie, wherever you're shopping, okay, they're pretty much all the same, give or take £40–50, right? So bikes are the most expensive, especially the assault bikes that are downstairs, and then gradually the rowers. And I think you can sort of tell because of the sheer size of them, makes sense. 800 for ski, 900 for row, 1,000 for bikes. And they are obviously a big chunk, but there's something that I obviously wanted when I opened up the gym. So yeah, that is exactly what I've got. Now the next thing to talk about, moving on from that, or one quick thing to note, we've got 3, 6, 9, 12 CV bits of equipment, which is not like amazing on the grand scheme of things compared to other gyms, but we work around it, we program around it, and we program quite well just with the work that we've got. We all work together in the team, and I still program all of the workouts in Sculpt. I think it'll be nice in the next year, not even the next year, next 6 months, to have 3 extra ergs, but to be honest, it works absolutely fine. So the next thing, which I was about to say, is probably benches. Now, people are always shocked when they realize how much benches are, but I'm pretty sure most of these benches were about £300. Now, some people will pipe up and be like, I got a bench for £100. You didn't get an adjustable bench. It's completely flat. It's not moving anywhere. It's a stationary bench. It's totally different when you get adjustable benches, and the quality speaks for themselves. So yeah, we have 12 or 14 benches. There's three upstairs currently, and there's another 10 or something downstairs, 9 or 10. So yeah, I think that is the bulk of absolutely everything, apart from moving on to the little bits. Now the little bits, the reason I'm calling them little bits is because they're just little extras, little bonuses. So the first thing we'll have is the boxes. Now this was essentially just us building them ourselves. I say us, I am absolutely useless, and if my dad's watching this, he will probably punch us in the face, because I couldn't even hit a nail with a hammer. Okay, so he helped us out big time with that. He did all of those with a couple of different people, and then little bits like little ab mats, which we've got under here, and the the mats, like the yoga mats and stuff like that. To be honest, they barely get used and they look really untidy there, which drives us crazy. But you do have the odd person that hasn't really got the core strength, or maybe just has bad knees, where they need a little bit of something under them for extra support. These kettlebells up here are not my favorite because they're a little bit more basic, and most of our competition kettlebells, you can see the difference here. This is a little bit more basic. These I actually had for my boot camps that I started when I was 17 years old. But this is a competition kettlebell, which is an absolutely much better standard. Now, I can't actually remember. Obviously, these are way, way cheaper because it's like almost like a plasticky casing. Competition kettlebells are a lot more expensive. See if I can quickly look at that. So, kettlebells, 12 kilo kettlebell, 16 kilo kettlebell, 96 pound, 20 kilo kettlebell, 108, 24, 130, and then 32 is 190 pound for one kettlebell, okay? One kettlebell. So that puts it into perspective. So I'm just going through, this was the original Sculpt quote, and I'm not going to show you too much of because I don't want to look like a dick. This is not about I've got this and I don't want to be like that, okay? This is an actual way of trying to help you. Now, apart from the GHD, which I'm sure Joe will have laid a clip over it now, little bits like that I've just bought because I wanted it, because I was being like, I saw GHDs in my program and I was like, I want one of them. I bought that out of my own money, just thinking like, I want that for Christmas. Treat myself. I'm gonna go through now what I would say is essential for starting your own gym, or at least my 5 basics. A quick thing that I forgot about as well, which I've just realized, is wall balls and skipping ropes. Okay, we had like 12 skipping ropes. I'm pretty sure everyone is broken apart from 2 pairs, which is ridiculous considering they are about 26 pound each. But yeah, that's just, we'll buy them, we'll replace them. When you're in year 4, you're gonna have a little bit of wear and tear with how many customers you got through the door, and that is not a problem. I totally understand. They're skipping ropes. And then the wall balls downstairs, which are on the racks, which you'll have seen me use before. Now, if I was starting off my own place, and what I pretty much started off with is a few different things. Now I'm gonna give you like my 5 basics, which I would say you want. The first one I would say would be, going back downstairs, would be the squat rack or the rig, because straight away when we started, and we'll go back and have a little look at it over the top here. You've got to think right at the start. So just down there, those 2 racks, you've got 2 racks, and you've obviously got a lot of space for pull-ups, for ring rows, for stuff like that. Now, obviously starting off as a PT, I was doing groups, I was doing boot camps, I was doing stuff like that. I'm like going back to 17 years old here. I can first of all get my first friend, person or something like that to come in as a PT and start paying a little bit of rent, trying to help us out with you. So straight away, I would say finding a rig that has at least got a 2-man station, so you can have 2 groups at the same time, or 2 personal training sessions at the same time. Something like that is going to be your best bang for your buck. Okay. Now, second most essential bit of kit is obviously going to be dumbbells. Now, believe it or not, even though I do a lot of conditioning nowadays, back in the day, that was not my thing, and I would focus on making sure that people had the most efficient way of building muscle. Now, you got to think these ergs are really, really expensive, okay? So after you've got your rig and after you've got your dumbbells, what do you need next? Now, if that's really expensive, you want to make sure you have a good dumbbell selection, because as much as ergs are really expensive, what you can kind of replace if you're a very good PT and you're efficient is you can try and use battle ropes, you can try and use kettlebells, and you can still sort of get the cardiovascular / strength training with those things, with dumbbells, okay? Obviously you've got burpees, you've got all of the classic bootcamp stuff, and to be honest, straight away that's going to save you like almost 15 grand, okay, which is crazy. But that is how you should be starting, like thinking about minimizing costs, probably with the cardio equipment. However, if I was starting off, I'm going to put something out here, and people may or may not agree, disagree. I would probably go with the assault bikes first. And the reason being, I'll walk downstairs with you. So the reason this would be number one is quite simple, right? You got a lot of clients. You have a client that has a bad knee. We can go arms only, okay? You can do arms only cardio. You have a client that has a broken arm. You can actually brace, engage your core, and go legs only. So straight away bang for your buck, rather than if you have a client that has a bad leg, probably the skier is the best. But if you want something that works all round and you've only got money for 1-2 ergs, you want to go for something like this, in my opinion, okay? Because you've got a little bit of room to play, and especially alongside kettlebells, skipping ropes, which are going to be super cheap, wall balls, super cheap, balls for ball slams, which we've got down here as well. There's going to be, this is probably going to be your cheapest thing, and you're still going to be able to like use them for a lot of different variations and get someone a good workout in. So your rig is first of all, your dumbbells is second. Your third thing I would say would be like functional kit, like a couple of good kettlebells, just a couple to get you over, to get you started, to get you off your feet. And then the next thing would be pick what your first erg machine would be, okay? Like I said, assault bike is what I would recommend. And then after that, you probably got a bit of room to play with your sort of things that you want, like basics, like benches, okay? So don't want to mess out on benches and on boxes, okay? So those would be my 5 things which you really want to make sure that you nail, that you have in your facility. And obviously I've said weights, the barbells obviously need to be included with the rig. So yeah, those are my 5 essentials. And I would say as long as you have a couple of those, whether you are a PT who is working individually, whether it's a garage setup, that is kind of what you want. Yeah. So if you're looking, I hope you enjoyed this video first of all. It is a bit of a weird one, and to be honest, I felt really awkward for the past 10-15 minutes because I don't want to be someone who speaks about money. To be honest, I'm not that type of person at all. I just want to try and give a little bit of advice of like, if I was starting off again, what I would do. And there's certain things where I've probably got them in the wrong order and I thought, why have I got that when I should have got that first? So that's kind of like a little bit of everything, a little bit of what I've got in the gym, what I would try and start off with. And there's always going to be little bits, like I was saying, that like you see, because they've been created, like the GHD. I never used to use that in my bodybuilding days. But obviously coming into it, I wanted that. I'm never used to like be into it. So we've got these new D-balls yesterday from Primal. Now, these are awesome bits of kit, but like, do you know, back in the day, probably wouldn't have been that crazy on using them. I would have just stuck with like barbells and dumbbells. And yeah, and just always remember as well, the road outside is free when you start in your own facility. So if you're stressing about ergs and stuff like that, you are a more than like capable PT. You are good, you're efficient, you're motivating. You can get people a great workout with all of that, okay? See you later, Louise. Right, apart from that, I think that is everything. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've had a good time. Give it a thumbs up because it really does help. And let me know in the comments if you've got any questions, anything like that, and I'll give you some advice. I will try and reply to as many as I can. And tell us what you want to see in the next video. Over and out.